In this video, I wanted to show you guys how you can find SPSS and download it onto your own computer. So in the My Apps that we have, kind of replacing the old single sign-in, I've created a favorites page of the apps that I typically engage with the most. But when you enter your apps, if you haven't created a favorites page, you'll just see all of the apps that you have access to as a student. So within these, I'm going to go back to my favorites, but what you're going to find is either the Student Virtual Lab, which I'll cover in a different video, and then we also have the Campus Software Depot. So these are the two places where you can access SPSS for free through the university. If we go into the Software Depot, it'll ask you to sign in with your student account. And then it'll probably ask us to do the multi-factor authentication majigger. But once we get into the Software Depot, you guys will have something that says student instead of faculty and staff, but we pretty much all have the same access to the same software. So in the product search bar, I'm just going to type SPSS and press enter. And then I hate that it does this, but it expands the first option. Go ahead and close that. And then you'll see that there are two different versions. There's an Amos version and a statistics version. Now, most of the videos in this class, I'm either using version 27 or 28. They're very similar. I think anywhere from 25 and onward, there's not really a huge difference between the versions. So in the past, I've had students who said that one version worked better on their computer than another. For the sake of this example, I'm going to download the latest version, version 28. In this area, you can choose the version for Windows or Mac. This is going to be in a quantity of 1, so you basically just pick which operating system you're working off of. I am using a Mac. You add it to your cart, view full shopping cart, and then you're placing the order for yourself, and then you go to checkout. From there, it will ask you to put in your name and your email. Make sure this is your student email. It should be a default. Let the computer know you're not a robot, and then go ahead and proceed with the order. That will bring you to a tab that looks like this, where you have an authorization code in red, and you have a download link. So go ahead and download the program. That will download the installer, run the installer, and then once you have SPSS on your computer, this authorization code is going to be important. Now, if you happen to have closed this window, the authorization code should have also been sent to you in your student email. So if you lose this for some reason, you will have it in your email. From here, what we can do is download or actually activate this license that we've been granted. Now, in the bottom kind of description here, it'll tell you the academic year that your license is good for and how long it is valid through. As long as you're a student, you can just keep re-downloading new versions if you ever use SPSS after this class, which I seriously doubt will happen. But once you get everything downloaded, you run the installer. You can find SPSS in two different ways. For my Windows users, the easiest way to find it is probably going to your Start menu in the bottom left-hand corner and then searching for the application. For Mac users, you can go to your Launchpad by pressing the F4 key, or at least it's the F4 key on mine, but it has an icon that shows up like 6 boxes next to each other. In your apps, I have a specific little box for my statistical softwares that I use for this class. Version 28 will look like this. Basically, you're just looking for the icon or app that says SPSS statistics. So the Python and the R for SPSS, we don't use those. even though they come in the statistical package that you downloaded. So now that SPSS has opened, you want to choose the option that asks you to activate with an authorization code. So we're going to launch the license wizard. Don't know who comes up with this stuff. Okay, and then you'll click next. For this one, we're doing authorized user license. So you quote unquote purchased, right? Click next. And then it'll ask you to enter the code. So this is where we're going to go back to the software depot. And then we'll enter the code that they gave us. So we'll add and click next. You should get something that says that authorization was successful. Finish the installation process, and that should allow SPSS to continue to open. Now, as a preface, this application is not the fastest application. So if it's like stalling or it gets stuck, you can always try to force quit the program, but for the most part, I've usually not had any issues with the newer versions. I think they run better, but if you ever have any problems with the download process, or if SPSS stops or gives you an error message, go ahead and take a screenshot of it and send it to me, and then I can try to help you in the best way that I can. Alright, so in the next video, I'll show you guys how to access this as well as other Microsoft programs in the virtual lab.